Hey everybody, and welcome to the channel, whether you're listening via podcast or on YouTube, whatever platform you prefer. Here I am Ian Bickle, and today I'm going to talk about the topic of tracking and semi-tracking, I call it. Now, all of my videos, all my posts, all my podcasts are designed to help you become a better thinker and get an all-round kind of perspective around your nutrition and training. So whilst we may occasionally dip into some science that I can explain, because I'm not fantastic at that, but what I do is appreciate and respect the science of things. I'm not one of these who can kind of, I'd be crap in an argument, put me against someone, and I'll just be like, listen, I know what I'm talking about, but I can't go that far into the science. But do I have to? Do we need to? The clients that I work with just want to live a happier life, a diet-free life, a life where they're leaner, they feel more confident, better naked, and they're less self-conscious and things like that. And I think this modern world has kind of given this illusion that being lean, like excessively lean, is the end goal, when in reality what the people I work with is they just want to feel confident that they're in control, that they're happy, and that's what we're all after. So whilst I do have a little bit of a bias towards bodybuilding, I enjoy lifting weights, I enjoy the competitive side of it, even though I haven't done it in a long time. Never say never. But what I want to do with these podcasts and channels is just give you some information, what's on my mind, and what approaches you might take with your nutrition. Now, of course, if you do want a little bit more one-to-one stuff, then it's like you may have to hire a coach. Doesn't have to be me, but quite often what a coach will do is help you tread these waters and understand and take a look, an experienced look at where you are now and where you want to be. And that's our job. It's kind of like the personal trainer, but looking after everything outside of the gym, not just stuff in the gym. But we do consider that as well. Everything we do as coaches, the good coaches anyway, is person-driven, client-driven, customer-driven, whatever you want to be known as, just making sure that we aren't compromising the health, safety, and happiness of you guys. Not qualified doctors, so we have to operate within our scope of practice. Hence, everything that I say on this channel is basically for you to go away and consider. It isn't prescriptive. It's something for you to go, right, I'm going to give that a go. And this is kind of what everything is about within health and fitness and life, for that matter. It's an experiment, it's trial and error, and the successful people are the people that aren't afraid to try and fail and fail and fail till they fail less and they fail less and then eventually start stumbling upon success. It's the people that kind of don't commit, the people that, or they do go into it, but they'll have an I'll try attitude. And what I want to be able to do is give you permission to mess up, make mistakes. It's okay. I've made tons of mistakes, some bigger than others, but it is what it is. But it's kind of been the path to success, and I'll look back and say that's a necessary building block to the human and person I am, the coach I am, the father I am, the husband I am, the friend I am, all of those sorts of things. Now, I know that was a huge off-topic tangent, but I think it's always important to kind of get people to know where I'm coming from with the information that I share. So when it comes to this semi-tracking approach, this was the approach that I used in early 2020 to shave off, I don't know, it was going up like the 8 kilos or something at the time. I started back in January. I started a series called Not a Prep. That's available on my website, buildwithbickle.com. Just go to the blog section and there's loads of videos on there just going through how I manage my macros and all of that stuff. But the semi-tracking approach is, now the issue with tracking, okay, let's talk about that, is people are obsessively neurotic with it. And it's got a bad rap for that. People weigh and measure and everything. Now, I used to be that guy. I was that person who tracked meticulously. Everything had to be weighed, and it was, I would say, disordered. It was a disordered approach towards nutrition, and it's certainly unsustainable. It was sustainable at the time because I had a goal, but then I tried to do things a little bit beyond what was necessary. And I think going to that extreme allowed me to understand how unextreme I could be and still make progress, because I think a lot of people are. It's known as like the righting reflex, and they think they need to just do the complete opposite to what they're doing now. So they need to be stricter, they need to be more controlled, but sometimes that kind of falls flat on its face and they end up going back the other way. And my approach towards the semi-tracking was, right, well, how accurate do I need to be? What can I get away with kind of eyeballing? What can I kind of guesstimate? So there would be foods where I'd be like, right, or meals where I'd be like, right, that's about 1,000 calories of my daily budget, my weekly budget. And I, with my clients, try and teach them to move the goalposts. This is how my head works around nutrition. The problem with most diets out there is they've got rules, and rules are good, but also what happens when rules are broken? Now, a good diet has many rules. Your diet has many rules. My diet has many rules. And when we give somebody the illusion that they can literally do what they want and get away with it, that's so empowering. So I call mine the Ian diet, the Bickle diet. It's mine. And your diet has to be your diet. And this is why I say things have to be individualized. Now, every diet out there is a method, tracking calories, keto, intermittent fasting, all of that sort of stuff. Even veganism, yes, there's the ethical side of it, but from a health perspective, yes, it's healthier than kind of the modern Western diet, which is typically packed full of processed rubbish. But from an ethical standpoint, credit to you. But from a health standpoint, there's going to be things missing that maybe we'll talk about in a separate podcast. But basically, all I'm saying is, like, the diet you follow is your business. It's nobody else's business. But a lot of people get attached to diets, and when they find something that they believe strongly in, they're going to go and seek out evidence that supports that diet. So look at your social media timeline. Look at the podcasts. Listen to the podcasts you're reading. Be considerate of the stuff that you're reading and the stuff that you are allowing into your brain. And also be wary and considerate of the things that you are not considering. So people's other approaches. So when people start telling me what diet they're doing, like, I'm just a little bit like, I'm not bothered, because there's so much context lacking when people are explaining their dietary choices. Now, for me, if you can stick to it, if you enjoy it, and if it's something that you like, it doesn't form any form of restriction, and that for me is the most important dietary quality that we can possibly get, is like, do you feel restricted? Now with the Bickle diet, I don't feel restricted. It's 2021 now. I am dieting a little bit. I'm cutting a little bit. I'm in a deficit. And I'm just kind of calling this eating the less than what I was diet. Eating less than I was diet. So basically, I have something in which my structure within my nutrition is fairly straightforward, regardless of when I'm tracking or not. I mostly have 4 meals per day. And it's quite easy to eat less when, there's no mindlessly snacking, there's no emotional eating, there's certainly none of that. And because I've done this numerous times, I know how I'm meant to feel when I'm in a calorie deficit. I know how hungry I am. And what I'll try and do is be, right, okay, let's be flexible enough so that I can enjoy a glass of wine, indulge in some chocolate every day and things like that. But also, let's make sure that I'm consuming less calories than I'm burning. And for me, my physical activity is fairly high all of the time. And this was kind of the semi-tracking approach last year was kind of the the stepping stone to this year's approach. Don't worry, I'm getting back to the semi-tracking approach, which was like, I don't need to be this neurotic with my deficit. So 2017 was the last serious diet where I think everything was fairly tracked anally, and I felt like, well, I can do better. So last year was a little bit of a kind of easier, less neurotic approach, and then this year it's just like, right, God, I don't even need to track. I am confident and comfortable and in my own skin and in my own decision making and in my own head that I can kind of quite easily not need this illusion of control. Now, eventually I probably will have to bring tracking in when I want more of a quantitative approach, when maybe eyeballing it isn't enough. Maybe subconsciously I am just giving myself a little bit extra. But for me, it's a tool that people may or may not use. I find with a lot of my clients that I'm trying to get them to use both often, and if not tracking at all, and kind of trusting their own intuition and asking themselves questions and being mindful around their nutrition. Such a simple question is, am I eating less than I was before? And like beforehand, when I weighed, say for example, say someone weighs 100 kilos, they're going to have a lifestyle and a dietary intake and a physical activity level that supports that weight. And all you got to do is go, well, am I eating less than what I was? So me and the wife were still having pizzas on a weekend, but instead of getting a takeaway, we're just getting like a shop bought pizzas, which are less calories. They're not the real deal. However, I'm still eating pizza while in a calorie deficit, while still making progress towards my goals. So for me, it's always important for people to be super considerate of, their decisions around their diet and asking themselves, is this sustainable? Can I enjoy this? And for me, who's obviously got a lot of experience within this, I understand about maintenance and all of this stuff. If I'm losing weight, I'm eating less and I'm burning. If I want to maintain weight, I need to eat as much as I am burning. So that just means eating more of the same things, okay? A couple of extra portions here and there, roughly, maybe dependent on rates of loss. If it's £1 a week, it could be like 500 calories on average per day. So getting people to understand where they are, which approach is best for them, whether it's semi-tracking, whether it's full calorie counting. And I will say this, I think it's a necessary journey for me personally. It's not a necessary journey for you. You can kind of skip all the mistakes by having someone in your corner. Again, doesn't have to be me, but somebody who you trust, somebody who's got your best intentions at heart, that doesn't have a horse in the race. And by that mean, you're not interested in keto and maybe going to somebody who is just the keto guy who's just going to brainwash you. Maybe going to somebody who understands ketogenic diet and who will maybe go, hey, why don't we try it and see how you feel? And then gives you options, and it could be anything. And you've got to understand a good diet is multifaceted, and it's got to change because life changes. And this is why with Build with Bickle and everybody out there, it should be principle-led, not method-led. Many methods can work to a principle, and we have to take into account our clients' situations and lives and predicaments, and also give them the tools, the confidence, the knowledge, the education for them to be able to make decisions for themselves and not rely on a diet or even a coach. Like a good coach helps people so they don't need a coach eventually. We teach them so they don't need us, but like we treat them well enough and give them that appreciation of our service and the value us that they keep us around even beyond. And sometimes with my clients, they'll ask us something and I'll ask them back. I'll be like, what do you think? And And that's the answer to this dietary thing. And that for me is worth everything. And quite often with people, isn't the diet that the issue? And I've always said this, it's not. Diets aren't complicated. Food isn't complicated. Fat loss isn't complicated. It's people that are complicated. Emotions, that kind of throws wrenches in there. Emotional eating, all of this sort of stuff. Behavior change, psychology. It's hard. And that's why there is an issue. And then we've got food palatability. We've got genetics. We've got all of this stuff. So I don't even know what I'm going on about now with this podcasting episode, but I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll go from there.